So thank you very much, Virginie, and thank you to our speakers. Yesterday, when we shared what we found to be amazing or surprising about 2016, a lot of people mentioned this particular topic, so it was great to have the opportunity to dig into that more deeply. Let me welcome back to the stage Su-Mei Thompson. So please come up. For those of you who might have been a couple minutes late for the session directly after lunch, Su-Mei is the CEO of the Women's Foundation in Hong Kong, and she's moderating the Amazing Women series. So the first interview was indeed amazing. So we're really looking forward to your next guest. So,
thank you.
Su-Mei.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So to continue our series of conversations this afternoon with amazing women, please join me in welcoming Norma Bastidas to the Women's Forum.
Thank you.
You know, they all face that way, so we're going to face this way to start with, right? There are no bad seats in the whole house.
Sorry,
Okay.
I cannot rap. Didn't you? Wasn't that amazing? I mean,
amazing.
she was incredible.
You don't sing?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But
All
JC
right.
wanted to do a push-up challenge.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Okay. Getting into my moment. Norma, when I think of you, I've read your story, done a lot of research on you. I have to say I associate you with pain. You were raped by your grandfather when you were 11. In your teens, you endured poverty, the loss of loved ones, and being trafficked as a sex slave. At 19, you moved from Mexico to Tokyo. You thought you were going to be a model. You ended up as an escort at a nightclub that withheld your passport. You suffered multiple cases of physical assault. And then you managed to escape all of that and start a new life in Canada. Fast forward now to just a few years ago when you decided to take up extreme sports, as you do. And because of your incredible capacity for physical endurance, you are the fastest woman to have run ultramarathons on all 7 continents. Wait, it gets better. It gets better. She is also the Guinness World Record holder for the longest triathlon, an incredible 3,762 miles from Cancun to Washington, D.C., running, swimming, biking, in 65 days, 59 days. Wait, at the age of 47. So, have to ask you. Your life spans the incredible spectrum of the depths of emotional suffering and the peaks of physical pain. Which is easier to endure?
I mean, definitely the pain, the physical pain. I mean, it is difficult. And why was it important for me to do these? Is to change the perception of what a woman it is. I'm also an immigrant. I live in Canada now, even though I was born in Mexico. And it was very important how we view victims as well as weak. It was circumstantial what happened to me. It isn't a personality. It's what happened to me is not who I am. And that's why once I was given the right opportunities, I decided to do things visible, to teach the world who we are, really. This is the potential of investing. Pain it's difficult. It's a choice. Suffering is where I come from. It wasn't a choice. I couldn't say, no, I had enough. And that was the laugh of surviving abuse from a very young age and being trafficked. And I was kidnapped, not once, but twice. I managed to escape once just to end up being trafficked to a foreign country. And so I couldn't say no. And now, I mean, every single time it gets very difficult, I always remind myself that I can always quit, but I don't want to. Because I have the choice, and and that's a powerful, powerful thing that I've been given, and it's a privilege to be able to say I've had enough and I can go home. I don't choose it just because I won, Sometimes power is what it takes to achieve greatness. And that's fine. Everybody here has a master's or PhD, most of you, and I understand it isn't fine, but it is what it takes sometimes to achieve greatness, and I'm okay with that. And this is a profession that I've chosen. So, definitely, suffering is where I come from. Pain it's what it takes where I'm going, and it's okay. After living a life of nightmares, now my life is about dreams because I dream a record. So that's what I do that, and I think it's very, very cool.
Amazing. I read in an interviewer asked you, so how much do you dwell on the past? And, when you look back now, those early years, they must seem like a terrible kind of horror movie. What do you think about when you're running those marathons and the triathlons? Are you thinking about the past?
The past is always, I think, once I made peace, that it was always going to be part of me. That's it. You cannot take it back. I cannot, but I can always write the new chapters. I can choose then on. And I do suffer post-traumatic stress and trauma, and have physical injuries from being beaten so many times. But it's not something that I think about on a daily basis or anything, thankfully. What I do, however, use it's things. I'm an advocate, I'm an activist, and first of all, I travel and I go to shelters. That's what the why I do it. To educate, but more than anything, to visit a shelter and tell them, hang on, it gets better. Because so many times I try to escape just to end up in a bigger hell. But I'm so fortunate that I never gave up. And that's the message that I want to go. So what it fuels me more than anything is hearing the ignorance that still exists. When I see a post on a thread on a Twitter that a young girl gets raped and murdered, and then people start talking, it's like, what was she thinking? Why was she dressing like that? It just infuriates me that we put so much pressure on the victim and not enough on the perpetrators. So those are the things that I take on the pool. And to reiterate, I learned to swim to do the world record. That's because about how much I wanted to do it, and it was 122 miles. And I remember going to the pool and just kind of going. It's like people just said, you need to get over it. And I just remember using that as a fuel. It's like, you need to get over it, watch me. You need to get over it, watch me. That was my mantra, just because these should not happen, period.
Yeah. But the truth is that every year, over 20 million adults and children are trafficked into the sex trade or forced labor. Mm-hmm. Yours is an incredible story of survival, but many girls find it very difficult to recover after they're rescued. And they can't go back often to their families because it was their families who sold them in the first place. Are we doing a good enough job at the moment to help girls heal and reintegrate?
No, we are not, the truth, and that's the reason why I couldn't go home. Once, we value what we think is, in some cultures, virginity, whether it was stolen or given. There's a value to you, and once I was raped as an 11-year-old, that's it. It just got worse and worse, my opportunity of ever. And by the way, I just married last year and wore the whitest dress I could and went to a shelter. The shelter girls were my bridesmaids, the whitest that I could find. And that's something that we need to change the perception. And we are better at understanding, knowing. When it happened to me, it was still not a law. I was 86, and I kept it a secret for a long time until 6 years ago. I decided that I wasn't going to just watch it happen anymore. It's getting worse. The more we're doing, we love to rescue. We love those because it makes us heroes, but we give victims zero opportunities. Every single one of the girls that I know that have been rescued cannot work, because most of them have been, in working since they're children or in brothels, and there's no jobs that they can go to. Only abuse. They find partners. They're just using their vulnerabilities. So that needs to change. We need dignity. We need to. The society has failed us. The least we can do is to say, I'm so sorry. Now let me make it up for you, and that's what we need: opportunities.
I guess there are two aspects to the rehabilitation. There is finding them a way of being economically self-reliant, and then there is the dealing with the psychological suffering. And we were having a discussion at breakfast. I mean, you've been asked,
boundaries.
Right, how long does it take for
it's
someone to heal?
I mean, I know we always, the charities have a budget and they think, okay, I can give you, 2 months, and that's not enough. I mean, it took me years. I mean, I couldn't even talk about it. The first time I ever spoke, and I was shaking, and I already had breaking 3 records, by the way. But I remember shaking. And that's the reason why I thought, why am I getting medals for running mountains? I mean, for climbing mountains, and seriously, that's training, and I got cheer all the way, right? While surviving, I thought I would not receive a single medal for being an endurance athlete. What I've been shamed all my life for being a survivor. It's like, take it or leave it. I want to be shunned for all of it or celebrated for both. But, it is about, it's such a difficult journey because of the shame. Shame is what, every single time you open up and how you get treated, it just retrieves you. For me, for myself, setting boundaries and not allowing anybody, if anybody, everybody to respect, because that's exactly what happens. It's almost telling you have no right to anything, to your body, and they just come and trample. And now setting boundaries is what has helped me recover, overcome all this trauma.
So you have a documentary coming out next year, Be Relentless, right? So everyone in the audience has got to go and see this film. But what else can we do? What's your call to action to everyone here?
We are part of the problem. I mean, let's stop. Let's just make sure that we know where our products are coming from. Like, is it coming from labor? Like, check. Thailand has a terrible history of, the fishing industry. Chocolate is one of the most, industries that using child labor. Stop asking for cheap stuff and start asking for things that promote a community to be able to support themselves. Also, I know that we just think that we have the right, and don't buy sex. Simple. It seems complicated, but it isn't. Try to connect with people. Right. That's I would say, even when it's a choice, even when it seems a choice, it's not a choice. If the women don't have any other way to support themselves, or you're using somebody because he has an addiction, and that's the only way that the woman can have. So it's really complicated. It's not an empower. I see these that women can, I would say that, okay, it is her power. Then, it's not when you're paying $5. I'm sure the women said, sure, it's my power. I would charge $1 million. I'm not one, but, let's look this. It isn't a business. Let's put it that way.
Well, stopping people buying sex, and I think from the part of the world that I come from, it seems that the internet has really facilitated the sex trade as well, so I think we need more regulation.
Well, it is. We need regulation, especially if it's, our kids are exposed to it, and we don't talk about it. We still don't like to talk about it, and we need to explain to children that that's not how love happens. Children having violent sex at a younger age, too. That's also something to consider. They also become desensitized. Now, when I was trafficked, it was about poverty. Now it's coming to the middle classes, with the hot girls wanted, ads on Craigslist. It's because it's desensitizing, because when we have on the award shows, and I think it was the People's Choice Awards, we had Miley Cyrus, or one of them, dancing on a pole. Like, it just simply at 12 years not as shocking and I have a friend who was trafficked at 14, and she just basically ran away with this man, and he told her to go and sell herself that night. She said, I wasn't afraid at all, because I thought, I'm going to be Julia Roberts, and she called herself. It is a subtle thing that it is affecting without not us understanding. So it's kind of trying to make sure that we protect our children from something. And if they're exposed, to talk about it, to say, hey, this isn't okay, or challenge that. I talk to my nieces all the time, and I'm like, hey, why is that rapper always dressed and the girls are not? Like, what's the meaning behind that? At least they think about it, right? So I kind of said, it's like, hey, things like that. We can only do so much, but we need to continue doing.
Thank you. So I don't know if we have time, looking at my timekeeper, but could we please have, thank you, a bit of leeway for some questions and comments? Okay, there's a hand up there. Anybody else? Put your hand up now so we can, okay, one there and one there. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you very much for being here. You said that suffering wasn't a choice. No, sorry. You said that what happened to you wasn't who you were, but it was circumstantial. I wanted to know if you have always felt this way, and if not, how you shifted from a victim's identity to that of a survivor, and what would you say to women that managed to flee from the danger they were in, to become aware of the situation, but that are stuck in this victim's identity and seek to create their own life? Thank you.
And I'm glad you asked that question. It is, always people assume that I just took better, better choices, and it is not. I was being given better. The only reason why I stopped is because I moved to Canada, and thankfully for me, Canada, when things also, I've been on a bracket that, I was supporting my entire family since I was 14. My father died, and I was the one that hired income, sadly, because I was a better looking. And I'm not going, but it was the one that they're like, perfect, you can get more. And it was a big responsibility. But in Canada, I have a son. I became a single parent. And my son started to lose his sight when he was 11. That's how I started running. And I thought, seriously, I don't know how else, how am I going to, every single time I build my life and I moved to another country and I went back to work, I was fired from that job just because I couldn't manage, and I had a son who was going blind. In Canada, I was able to had credit line that I could borrow until I found another job. And so there were ways I went back to school and have a business administration, a diploma, so I can now work in a different aspect. Those things helped me not being able to, to continue being, on the same cycle. So those are huge for a mom. And we still, women, and especially as single parents, and now you have a child with a disability, then, that's what is funneling. What they used to kidnap, now they don't have to. They're just waiting for people who are vulnerable like that. Yeah. Does that make sense? Okay.
Okay, and comment over here, please.
Norma, I am Mexican and French, Tania Castillo from Capgemini. I am so proud to see you here and to hear you. And I don't think everybody here knows about women's assassinations in Mexico, feminicidios. And you've done great things with those women there. I think your resilience is certainly a lot of hope for them. Could you care to say a word about what's going on in Mexico, the fact that there are 7 women dead every day in Mexico today?
It is. This is a problem that it is huge in Mexico, and it is going to be my next record. I just applied to Guinness for my next. It will be about missing and murdered women, and it is something that happened in communities. Mexico is also happening in Canada, and it is usually the Aboriginals. A lot of it are the majority, and it is a huge problem. And we still don't treat it as a serious crime. The fact that we call it even sometimes crimes of passion, seriously, it's a murder. Stop romanticizing crime, and it is. They're not even. There's impunity. It's just shameful what's happening. So I think we just need to really put a lot of pressure and make sure that we understand that it's unacceptable. We do so much for other types of crimes in Mexico. If it's a kidnapping, it does happen, but there has more funding. There's a special task force for kidnappings, for ransom. But not if you're poor. That's what happened to me. Nobody was going to come and help me. But if it was for ransom, they have a special team. So it's just something to make sure we need to really address it. That I just with I don't even know why I'm alive. I've been tried to be. I was murdered twice, and I just feel that this is something that I need to do so much, just because I feel that there's a reason why I was spared. But I don't feel like, when I hear the stories and I meet with the women, I just understand that could have been me. And I'm here, and I'm, this is where we're missing. This is exactly where we're missing. I exist. You know, I'm not a statistic. And that's why I'm here.
Yes. Okay. A really loud round of applause, right? I mean, pay tribute to this woman. She's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.